Hello and welcome to Get Real Football Experts. I'm Dave Cres, joined by Louis DiBi as always. Louis, how are you?
It's going good. What's going on?
Today is our first fantasy episode, and we will be going over all fantasy things, talking about quarterbacks. We'll have our top 15 rankings, some other good stuff about quarterback, about inside fantasy. So let's get started, and we'll start with the rankings. Louis, give us your number 15 quarterback.
All right, my number 15 quarterback is a guy that's had a lot of ups and downs in his fantasy career, but it's one of the most explosive if he's healthy, and it's Michael Vick from the Eagles. My only reason for him being this low is because, honestly, I don't think he's going to even be the starting quarterback. But if he is, he has that explosive ability to be able to run and pass, which makes him a very viable threat in fantasy. I like him as a number 2 if he starts, or a rotational player based on matchups week by week. But I think if he can stay healthy, and he's got to win the job, of course, he might actually be back to, because under Chip Kelly's new system, I think he'll be better than he was with Andy Reid.
Yeah, I also have Vick at 15. I don't know if he's gonna start. I think he probably will. I mean, I'd also give a case for Foles maybe, but if it's not a question if Vick will stay healthy, it's just when. It's how long he'll stay healthy.
Yeah.
It's pretty much impossible for Vick to stay healthy the whole season.
Yeah, he's played one season, all 16 games, so that the odds are against him.
And also, he throws a good number of interceptions, but other than that, he's got, like you said, he's got the legs and he can throw, so it's a pretty good he'd be a backup here. And maybe a low end starter, maybe if you want to do a rotational thing, going up against matchup based, maybe. But Vick's number 15.
Yep.
14.
All right, number 14 is another guy that has some injury problems, Ben Roethlisberger from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I really like Roethlisberger this year. Actually, he was having a career year last year until he got hurt. If he can stay healthy, which normally even if he gets hurt, he does play through them. He has the weapons, even though he lost Mike Wallace. He still has Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders. And also, I like Marcus Wheaton, who they just drafted. He's also a mobile guy that can get you some points running wise. So, but I still think he's a number 2. Still think he's a backup. And unless you want to wait really long for fantasy, then I think he should be a rotational spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Ben's a pretty good backup here. And I also have him at 14 because, like you were saying, he was having a great year last year before he gets hurt. He's also pretty injury prone, not as bad as Vick. But also, he seems to play through a lot, too, so that's also a good upside for a backup QB. But maybe in this 14 or 15, maybe you can throw in Joe Flacco. So I think there's some question on who should be in these last two. There are definitely some good backup QBs down there.
Yeah, it's really tossed in the air because Joe Flacco, obviously, like you said, looking last year's playoff run, if that can go into this year just being just as hot, he could definitely oversee Michael Vick, who might not even start. That's why I'm saying this is just in contention that he's starting. Then I think he's number 15 because, honestly, like you said, there's a really good case for Nick Foles to start, and both have injury concerns. So I think Flacco could easily be in here as well.
All right. My number 13 guy is Eli Manning of the Giants. He's kind of streaky, and he also throws a okay amount of picks. He'll usually throws 1 or 2 a game. Well, not 2, but on a bad day. I mean, it's not that rare to see Manning throw 2 picks in a day. And that's the thing. The Giants actually do run a lot, even with their amazing with their amazing receivers, with Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, and even Ruben Randall. I think he's gonna have a better year than last year. They do like to run the ball a lot, knowing from watching most of the games. And David Wilson, their new starting running back, it looks like, and Andre Brown, the 2 running backs who are going to be running for him. They're going to get a good amount of carries. They're going to get some receptions, but mostly just checkdowns. So it's going to be tough. But I like Manning. I think he could be a low-end starter. Depends how far you wait on him. But also a very good backup.
Yeah, I had Eli Manning. I have Eli Manning at number 12. My number 13 guy is Tony Romo from the Dallas Cowboys. My only reason for Eli being ahead of him at number 12 is because I like the weapons better for Eli, and I don't know, I just think last year was kind of a disappointing year for Eli. Tony Romo, though, is actually both these guys I would consider starting quarterbacks still in fantasy. I mean, Dez Bryant's one of the best receivers in the league, and you have Jason Witten still there. And Miles Austin, if he can stay healthy, is pretty good. He really performed last year, but honestly, it was either he had 30 points or he had like 10. He was really hot and cold, and he was streaky. But I think definitely if you want to wait, I like to wait for quarterbacks. Tony Romo's definitely a good pickup, so I have him at number 13. And again, like some of these later guys, if you want to do a rotation, maybe draft Eli and Tony Romo. That's kind of what I like to see in these players that don't have that it factor that some of the guys in the ahead of the list have.
So yeah, my number 12 is Tony Romo. I like Romo a lot this year. I mean, I don't think he's good. I think the Cowboys need to move on from him. I don't think he's going to get the Cowboys anyway. But fantasy-wise, I just don't think he's a clutch quarterback. But for fantasy, I think he can do it. He's got two good receivers in Miles Austin and Des Bryant being the number one guy. And DeMarco Murray can catch some. And Jason Witten is a security blanket who gets about 100 yards a game almost. So he's got some good weapons there. So I like Romo at number 12.
Yeah, my number 12, Eli Manning. And like I said, from the Giants, he's got the weapons, like you already said, with Nix and Cruz. And last year, it was a really disappointing year, based statistically for Eli. He had one of his worst years. I like the bounce back. If Hakeem Nicks can stay healthy, which was one of the big things. But I think the really deciding factor that's going to help Eli is Brandon Myers, the tight end they got from Oakland. I think he's going to make a big difference. And if they can rely on the run game a little bit more this year, it can balance it out and help Eli in the passing game as well. I like him. I had him starting as my quarterback for most of the year last year. And he was a disappointment. But again, like these guys, if you want to wait, these are the guys that are probably going to be available if you want to wait deep into the draft.
Yeah, last year for Hakeem Nicks, they were playing the Bucks. I mean, it was his foot injury, and I don't know, he hit his foot and he was down on the ground. And the Bucks player, tried to jump over him, he landed on the back of his foot. So
yeah, that's not. Yeah.
But he's back and ready. He'll be there, and he didn't show up for the OTAs. But no, he showed up for the last week of OTAs, but he didn't show up for the volunteer mini camps and stuff. But it should be all sorted out. Cruz signed a 10-year, and they're still going to continue the long-term deal talk. So both of them should be fine for the season.
Now, who's better? I'm spinning off of quarterback, Nix or Cruz. Who do you think's the better weapon for Eli?
Cruz, especially fantasy-wise, because Cruz gets those deep passes that are just amazing.
He also had 10 touchdowns last year, so he gets into the end zone.
Especially in 2011. He had a bunch of 99 yards and all those deep ones. I remember against the Jets, against your Eagles, when he made the two guys run into each other.
So the weapons are there for Eli. I mean, and I think David Wilson, like you said, he's a good pass catcher as well. So it's all there for Eli. There's no excuses for him this year.
Yeah. So then to number 11 for me, I have RG3. Even though he was such a good quarterback last year, he was in the top 4, I think, for a good portion of the season. He tore his ACL, so that's going to be tough. It looks like he'll be ready, but I mean, the Redskins, they say they're going to try to limit him, but if they limit him, then he's going to not be as productive.
Yep.
And if they don't limit him, which I don't think you can, because his first instinct is going to run, they're not going to be like, no, I got to stay in the pocket and then throw it away.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to limit him, but that could just be bad, and make him not as productive. And if he does run, like he probably will, like he can just re-injure his leg. So I got him at 11, but I still think he's a starting QB.
Yeah, my number 11 is Russell Wilson, the second-year quarterback out of the Seattle Seahawks. And my reasoning for him being lower than RG3 is because I think it's the offense that he's in. They still have Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, who they rely on heavily throughout the offense. And I think that's really going to limit Russell Wilson to what he can do. But Russell Wilson was top 10 in standard scoring, as I checked, as of recent. I mean, that's what I've looked at so far. So I think that Russell Wilson definitely is, to me, 11 and up right now are starting quarterbacks in fantasy. So, but it's just with Russell Wilson, because he's got the read option ability, he can run. It's just the offense might not allow him to be top 10 again for another year. But with Percy Harvin coming in, I mean, the sky's the limit for Wilson. I really like Russell Wilson here at 11, and I think he's definitely going to be there in the later rounds, maybe 6th or 7th round if you want to wait and get other positions. And he's definitely going to be a reliable starter this year.
Well, QB is crazy deep.
Oh, yeah.
And if everyone listens, like Michael Fabiano and Matthew Berry, everyone's saying to wait on QB.
Yep.
And we'll get more into that later on in the show. But if everyone waits on QBs, that means Rodgers is going to fall to like 2nd or 3rd round.
Which will make all these other guys just
go down even like farther. Stafford and everything. Stafford could probably fall to the 8th round probably for you. And leagues like this, probably like a league like ours, maybe 4th or 5th. And I don't know, but it's going to be the point I'm trying to make is that quarterback is very good.
And the difference between, honestly, other than Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees, and probably Peyton Manning, if you're gonna take it like Cam Newton in the 1st round, honestly, if you can just wait till like maybe the 5th round and get a guy like Colin Kaepernick, it's not gonna be that much different. You can build your other positions, which are thinner than quarterback.
Kaepernick's interesting because he can be more productive than a guy like Cam Newton, but he's still got questions, which makes him a little makes you a little question if you should take him or not.
Yeah. All right. So number 10.
Number 10, I have Matthew Stafford. I don't know why people are sleeping on him so bad. Everyone had him go. He was a number 4 QB, or I think he was my number 5 last year.
He was top 5
Yeah,
for sure in most people's rankings.
Yeah, he was my number 5 last year. I can remember back, and he just dropped. I don't know why. He's got Calvin Johnson, who if Calvin Johnson gets hurt, that's gonna suck for Stafford. But Calvin doesn't get hurt, so that's basically almost 2,000 receiving yards right there for Stafford. So it's 2,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
He's still going to be productive. He can throw to Reggie Bush now, who's going to put up 500 at the least receiving yards probably, I think. Because who else is there? Nate Burleson.
Yeah, I mean, Titus Young's gone, obviously.
Young's gone, yeah. So he got arrested again for I remember at the alert said.
Yeah, he's messed up.
He got arrested again for I think 12 different charges.
Gosh, yeah. That's not. Yeah, he's not coming back.
So Matt Stafford at 10.
All right, my number 10 is Robert Griffin III, the Offensive Rookie of the Year this year, coming off a torn ACL. I like him in the top 10, but the thing that I don't like about him is he's starting to remind me of Michael Vick, where he's taking unnecessary hits. But, I mean, he's dynamic. He's definitely a number 1 quarterback if he can stay healthy, hoping he starts week 1. Like you said about the limiting factor, that might be a concern. Because, I mean, honestly, but he is a good pocket passer, but like you said, the instincts are eventually just going to click in. And when you have an explosive guy like that, you don't want to limit him for your own winning, for the sake of your team. And I definitely think he's going to be back to normal this year. He's got Pierre Garçon, if he can stay healthy. He's a really good receiver. Santana Moss is a productive veteran. The read option with Alfred Morris, I don't think is going to be able to be solved. And I think that's going to be one of the deciding factors whether RG3 is going to be top 10 or honestly top 5. He could honestly move up to the charts big time. I really like him, and I think he might go a little bit early. I mean, the injury is going to make him drop. I mean, because honestly, if he didn't get injured, I mean, he would probably be a 2nd, 3rd round pick.
Oh, yeah.
But now you might be able to get him in the 6th or 7th, like most of these quarterbacks. So I really like him at 10. And based on, because he is the offense compared to Russell Wilson, where there's playmakers all around him. That's why I like RG3 ahead at number 10.
All right, so moving on now to number 9. Louis, how about you give us your 9?
I have for number 9 Andrew Luck for the Colts, and he had a really good year last year. Obviously, in his rookie year, they rely on him so much in that offense. He threw almost over 70% of the time. They have Vick Ballard and Ahmad Bradshaw back, but you know that he's going to throw the ball. And with the new offense, Reggie Wayne's still going to be a good, productive veteran. I like him definitely, and he has some mobility too. I think that's kind of underrated. So I think he's number 9, and I think he's definitely. I mean, he's going to be a really good. I think he's a sleeper, honestly, because I think some people are talking about Wilson and RG3 and Kaepernick, the mobile guys. I think Luck's the one that might really surpass all of them and become one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy.
I also have Luck at number 9. He throws a lot of picks because he makes some risky throws, but when they do work out, Reggie Wayne's he's a great receiver for Luck, number 1 guy. They definitely have some chemistry there. And I would be super happy with Luck as my starting QB. For all the reasons you said, I like Luck at number 9. So then number 8 for me, I had Russell Wilson. He's not gonna throw as much like a guy as Luck, but because he's got Marshawn Lynch there, who they're gonna hand it off to. But he's gonna have more rushing yards. Wilson's gonna have more rushing yards than Luck. Yeah. And in my opinion, they have better receivers down up in Seattle with Percy Harvin, the new addition they got for a 1st round pick from Minnesota, and they still have Sidney Rice, Golden Tate. So I like the Seahawks receiving core, and I like Wilson a little bit better than Luck.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson's going to be really good, like you said, for all his weapons. I have for number 8 another guy in that division, the NFC West, Colin Kaepernick. 2nd year. This is going to be his 1st year actually starting all 60 games, hoping that he doesn't get hurt. The reason I like Kaepernick ahead of RG3 and Wilson is because I think he's smart with the hits he takes. I think he's going to stay healthy. And he's a really good pocket passer. He's got one of the best tight ends in the league in Vernon Davis, which is he's gonna have to rely on him with Michael Crabtree going down. Honestly, I think it's all up in the air just based on personal preference, because Kaepernick could easily be below Wilson and RG3 and Luck, but I think it's personal preference because these guys are electric. I think Kaepernick's the number 1 guy, but I don't know, the Crabtree thing just has me worried. Hoping that AJ Jenkins or Quentin Patton can really rise up and help Anquan Bolden in the receiving core. But with the read option, again, the read option's key for some fantasy owners. You hoping that the defense doesn't stop that. I think Kaepernick's definitely going to be a top guy this year.
I don't think they can stop the read option.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be able to find a way to limit it, but it's just going to be so hard to stop.
Because eventually, when you're going to have to, if you're going to have to take someone out of the secondary and spy on the quarterback anyway, so it might, solving the read option might take something else away.
Yeah, I know.
Makes the offense more explosive.
Well, I remember hearing something. I can't remember where, but how do you solve the read option where the guy, say Kaepernick, he fakes it, he gives it to Gore, and then there's the people coming there, but then he pulls it away. But the only way to stop it is have a guy like a defensive lineman. Say they're playing the Seahawks and Clifford Reel comes around. Who's gonna win in a foot race, or who's gonna? Kaepernick's gonna make a miss, and there's the 25-yard pickup. So
yeah, it's probably not solvable. But even if it is, these quarterbacks are really good pocket passers anyway, so they're just as dynamic without the read option because they can still run.
Yeah.
So there's only so many defensive linemen you can have on one play. So I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be solved anytime soon. Maybe contained to a bit.
Well, yeah, and if they add more people coming in, then it's just going to open holes in the secondary.
Exactly.
So my number 8 guy, or you had Kaepernick at 8. I have him at 7. I can just tell I like him a little bit better than you just by talking to you about him. I just think he's going to work out. I mean, that Crabtree thing was hit him. I had him at 6 before, but I bumped him back because of the Crabtree loss. But Vernon Davis is still going to be there, and for all the reasons you said, I got him at 7.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree. Number 7, I have Matt Stafford from the Lions. My reason for him being so high is because of how much they throw the football. Mm-hmm. And bringing in Reggie Bush is only going to help that.
Yeah.
Because if you can see Joik Bell, who is a running back, finally starting, he was a third string for the Bills, a practice squad for the Eagles. If he can catch over 86 receptions, I think he's definitely going to have double-digit. I mean, Reggie Bush is definitely going to have over 800 yards receiving. Not 800 yards. I meant probably he's going to get a lot of receptions. I could see him probably around 500 yards receiving or 600. But he's that good, where he's that dynamic because there's not many other receivers other than Calvin Johnson around him.
Oh, yeah. So, to number 6 for me, and you, we both have Matt Ryan there. So, he's got 2 very good receivers in Julio Jones and Roddy White. 2 elite, probably both top 10, maybe top 8, top 7, both of them. I think Jones is. I'd probably have Jones 5 and Roddy 7 or 8.
Yeah, Jones a little bit higher.
Yeah, and great tight end Tony Gonzalez. He's a good red zone threat. Jacquizz Rodgers can catch out of the backfield. So can Steven Jackson. So can Monty Ball.
Yeah. Inside joke. Sorry.
So they have good weapons. Ryan had a good year last year. And I think he can have another year, maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, Matt Ryan is. I really like Matt Ryan. I've had him almost, probably other than 1 year playing fantasy football court. I mean, I really like him. And like you said, the weapons are there. He has probably the best receiving court in the league, arguably.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio and Roddy White, I think it's a great compliment. And I think Steven Jackson's going to just really help him because he can catch out of the backfield, unlike Michael Turner could, like you said. Michael Turner, if he can have, how many yards he did, and Jacquizz Rodgers can catch it, but I think Steven Jackson is going to be the deciding factor whether Matt Ryan is a top 10 or top 5 because honestly I think he might be able to surpass Tom Brady who doesn't have that many weapons. I mean, if you're looking for an elite quarterback, I don't know if you're going to find it in Matt Ryan, but every week he's going to be very productive, and that's what I like about him. I like the consistency he has.
All right, so now to number 5. Tom Brady for me, Tom Brady for you. It seems.
Yeah.
Probably going to have a lot similar coming down to the stretch here. But Brady lost Wes Welker, and now you got, oh my gosh, just Wes Welker. Aaron Hernandez was just released. I can't believe I forgot about that for a second. Because he killed a man.
Yeah, or supposedly.
Even if he gets out innocent, he's not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
So, Gronk's hurt. 5 surgeries, 4 on the arm, 1 on the back this offseason. He's looking not to be ready for week 1 against the Bills.
Yeah, so, that might be good for you.
Yeah, except Amendola will be there. But not for their second matchup. Yeah. He'll be hurt. But Amendola, like I just said, he'll be there for a little bit before he gets hurt, because he's going to get hurt.
Yeah, he will.
And he's just doesn't have as good weapons as before. They lost Brandon Lloyd, so they don't have too many people to throw to.
Yeah, he went from 3 in a lot of people's rankings right down to 5, and Cam Newton and Peyton Manning surpassed him.
Yeah.
I think it was the deciding factor that Aaron Hernandez is now not part of the team, and that's a crazy situation that we won't get into there. We'll just talk about it fantasy-wise.
We're talking about that Aaron Hernandez thing tomorrow on our podcast when we record.
Yeah, we'll talk about it there.
GetRealFootball.com.
Yeah, so you look at you being a company man. Okay. No, but yeah, the weapons just aren't there as much as they were. And I think Wes Welker's probably the biggest loss. Because you're bringing in another Wes Welker, kind of like in Danny Amendola, the same type player, but he's injury prone.
Well, Wes Welker took a lot of shots,
but he stayed healthy,
and he got up. So I don't think Amendola is going to be able to take all the hits that Welker took and play through them.
Yeah, because I mean they're going to look to give Amendola the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Look for someone like Julian Edelman or Donald Jones that's going to have to rise up and hoping that one of those produce if they want to continue. Or Aaron Dobson, the rookie. I mean, Tom Brady's got to find some weapons, but I think he definitely can turn some not as productive receivers other places into a good receiver.
Did you know that Julian Edelman was drafted as a quarterback?
No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
Oh, yeah, I just found that out.
Kind of small, don't you think?
Yeah, I can't. That was hard to believe. But
yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about Tebow, so.
Oh yeah, Tebow might be a target.
Why not Tebow?
Yeah, why don't you move him to tight end? He might be able to replace. Oh, Jake Ballard though. He might be a sleeper. I mean, I'm just saying with Hernandez gone, they like to run 2 tight end sets. I mean, that might be another weapon for Brady, but I just don't think it's enough compared to what these other guys in the next coming people have.
All right, so number 4, who do we want to give receiver for?
All right, number 4 I have, and this is kind of tossed in the air, but I think it's based on pure fantasy football. I'm going to put Peyton Manning here at number 4. He does have, I mean, this is probably one of the best receiving corps, as well as Atlanta, arguably. You got Wes Welker, Eric Decker, and Demaryius Thomas. I mean, that's incredible. And Monty Ball, like you said, can catch out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he might be a really good running back, and that can help out Peyton Manning. But they're going to be throwing the football, and I think, I mean, with the loss of all Brady's weapons, Manning took one of his weapons, and I think how he produced last year with Welker now, I mean, sky's the limit for Peyton Manning, and I think he's definitely. I don't think he's a first-round pick because I don't believe in taking quarterbacks in the first round. But I think he's definitely a second or third round pick, and he is going to be really good this year.
At 4, I have Cam Newton. I mean, like you said, I know you have Newton at 3, so they're kind of a toss-up wherever you want them. But I think Newton's just Peyton clearly has better weapons, and then Cam has his running ability, so there's the difference. Peyton has absolutely 0 running ability. He might
probably the slowest quarterback in the league.
He might post 3 yards or something if we're lucky, but. Then
maybe.
Then but his weapons are good. That's why I like Peyton a little bit better. I just don't like the running back situation. I never have in Carolina, and besides Steve Smith and Brandon McFell, I don't really have much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. At this point, it's honestly personal. I mean, I think Cam Newton is his own weapon. Because, like you said, the weapons are so thin compared to Denver. Steve Smith is their only pretty much reliable threat, and he's getting older. I think he's got a couple years left of production. And the running game, I mean, Cam Newton. That's why I have him here at number 3. I think my number 3 guy is Cam Newton, and it's because of his running ability. I mean, he's scored. I mean, he's going to score 6, 7, or 8 touchdowns.
He's the leading rusher on the team.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's not changing because D'Angelo Williams and Stewart are still in that rotation that just to me doesn't work. And I think Cam Newton is the reason I have him at 3. Ahead of some of the other mobile guys is because of his size. I don't think he'll get injured. And I think him and Steve Smith's relationship connection is really developed. And I think if he can improve his pocket passing skills, I think this year, if he can limit the turnovers, he's going to be dominant. But at this point, I mean, all these guys are going to produce. I think it just comes down to what the risk you want to take and based on their surroundings on their team.
Yeah, well, Newton's going to score touchdowns because he's going to jump over the pile, and all that good stuff and all his running ability.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's going to have the most rushing yards again on the team like he has the past 2 years. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to go. My number 3 is Peyton Manning. For the reasons I said, he's got the good receivers. He's got Jacob Tammany, Peyton likes to spread the ball around. That makes it harder to stop. He's kind of like Rodgers. So, I like Peyton just a little bit better at 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 and 1 we both agree with, so how about you go with number 2?
All right, 2 I have, obviously, I think this could be debatable, but I have Drew Brees at number 2 for the Saints.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he posted, over 5,000 yards last year. He's big time. Jimmy Graham, who, by the way, wasn't on the top 100 list. I won't get into that, but, yeah, Jimmy Graham, Marcus Colston, who's been a 1,000-yard consistent receiver. Darren Sproles, who definitely can catch out of the backfield. Yeah. He's really dynamic, and I think they throw the football. I mean, Mark Ingram and Pierre Thomas are not really reliable to me as running backs. You know they're going to throw the football, but I just...
Well, last year Darren Sproles only had 200-yard rusher.
Yeah, I mean, he had, 600
I can check over... How do you look that up?
Yeah, I mean...
he probably had about 800 maybe. No, not 800, 700, 600 around there receiving. So he's definitely the best receiving running back in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because who would beat him out? I mean, maybe Reggie Bush.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Reggie Bush better because he's a better running back, and he rushed for 1,000 yards just a little bit ago. So last year, 667 yards.
7 touchdowns.
7 receiving touchdowns. Or was that receiving? Yes.
Yeah, that's receiving. Only one. He had 244 rushing yards. Adrian Peterson almost had more in one game. And but I mean, look at the receiving. He
has more career. He has more career receiving yards than he has career rushing yards. More career receiving touchdowns probably too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, a lot more.
Yeah, that
25 receiving, 9.
Only 9. I mean, he only has 2,000. Adrian Peterson has more in 1 year. I mean, but
he had more receptions last year.
Yeah.
Than he had rushes.
But that helps Drew Brees though. I mean, when we're talking quarterbacks, that's really going to help Brees.
Oh, yeah.
So let's give the number 1.
It's clearly obvious because Aaron Rodgers isn't on the list. They're the biggest retards in the world.
Maybe Joe Flacco could be number 1.
No.
Like Dennis Pitta was on the list, and not Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, they lost Greg Jennings and Donald Driver retired, but they still have Jermichael Finley, the tight end. They still have Jordy Nelson, who should bounce back after that ankle injury he had last year. James Jones, he put up like 14 touchdowns.
14, yeah, that's a lot.
So I just don't think that's going to happen. He's still going to be a threat. And Randall Cobb, he's probably going to be their best receiver fantasy-wise. So he's got a lot of weapons to spread the ball out. And Jonathan Franklin can catch the ball out of the backfield. So lots of weapons. And Rodgers, like Peyton, likes to spread the ball around. And he can run. I mean, if he sees the hole, he's going to run.
Yeah, I think that might be the deciding factor, too, if you're looking. I mean, the weapons are definitely there for both Brees and Rodgers. But I like your point on Jonathan Franklin. I think looking at some of the running backs for these teams, I mean, Franklin might be a really good receiver, as well as obviously a running back, which he is. But I mean, the weapons, Randall Cobb, reminds me a lot of Percy Harvin. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, James Jones isn't going to score 14 touchdowns again,
but maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, but he's got the guys there, and the mobility's there. He's going to throw just as much as Brees will, if not more. I mean, the Packers last year had absolutely no run game.
And also, it kind of seems like the year before, Jordy Nelson had 15 touchdowns, I think.
He did, and then he had like 5 or 6.
And then James Jones, so maybe this is Randall Cobb starting to have a bunch of touchdowns.
Yeah, but to me, with the Randall Cobb, though, I think he's the complete package, though, because when you look at James Jones, though, he only had 700 yards with those 14 touchdowns.
Cobb's going to get a couple of rushes, too.
Yeah, Cobb might have over 1,000 yards, and he might have like 12 touchdowns.
And if your league does kick return yards, watch out.
Yeah, him and Harvin and Sproles, some of those guys are going to be really good. Yeah, I mean, but what do you think? Let's go to a strategy. Where do you honestly like to take your quarterback in which round in a normal draft? Because I mean, you got the guys at the top like Brees and Rodgers, but you might want to take other positions and wait for some of these guys in the middle.
I say no earlier than 4th. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would probably say I mean, I would probably last year I waited until the 7th to take Eli Manning.
If you can get a top 5 guy, 4th, anything else, 5th at the earliest.
Yeah, I would probably say 5th or 6th round is where I'd like to take one because, but you don't want to miss after Russell Wilson or RG3. Once you get into the Eli Tony Romo category, you might have waited a little bit too long.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at what your other positions are.
Yeah, because if you have 2 elite running backs and a good receiver, and 2 good receivers, 3 good running backs, and then you say, all right, and maybe even a good tight end, you get your roster, and then like, all right, I'll take Romo.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
Yeah.
And another strategy is, if you want to go matchup base, you have 2 deep quarterbacks, and then say you get Romo and Eli, and Romo's playing the Bills, and you're like, no, they're too good of a defense. And then the Giants are playing the Jaguars. You clearly put the Jaguars team in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would
say
so.
or if the Giants are playing the Eagles, and the Cowboys are playing the Bills, you clearly put Eli in because
for sure.
Because the Bills have a better defense than the Eagles.
All right. I'll save that. Keep that in the back of my mind. But yeah, okay. So give us a quarterback to avoid in the draft.
RG3, because his injury and all the reasons I talked about him before.
Yeah, I mean that's a good one. I want to say Tom Brady because of the weapons, but he's too good. I'm gonna say Matt Stafford. Honestly, I think I like him at 7, but the reason you might want to avoid him other than other people is because the other guys have mobility, but at the same time, if Matt Stafford, I mean, they don't run the football, so if Calvin Johnson ever gets hurt or something, I mean, I don't know what you would do. And he makes a lot of mistakes. He had a lot of interceptions last year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying avoid him for sure because I think he's a starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the option to take some of these other guys, I think I would do it, honestly.
All right, so give us a quarterback you want to go after.
The quarterback I would go after is probably Andrew Luck. I really like Andrew Luck this year. I'm a big fan of him. They throw the football, but I mean, he's got the mobility, and I think the turnover is going to limit. I think as he's progressing and getting older, obviously in his second year, I think some of his young players are going to develop. I think you might see Dwayne Allen really rise this year, maybe Kobe Fleener. He's got the mobility. He throws a boatload of touchdowns. I really like Andrew Luck this year, and I think I would honestly pursue him. And the reason I would say, even though I have Stafford ahead of Luck in my projections, you're gonna have to probably take Stafford earlier than Luck. I think Luck might actually fall because of all these other. I mean, some of these guys might get lost in the shuffle because of all these names being tossed around. Russell Wilson might slide. Or Luck because of all these other guys.
All right, so if I were you, I would go after Colin Kaepernick. I think he's gonna work out. I think he's gonna have a very productive year. Not as great as last year, but just as good, very productive. Huge number one QB, kind of like an RG3 year last year.
Okay.
Except without the ACL tech.
Yeah, let's hope not. All right, that's going to do it for today's Get Real Football Experts Fantasy Edition. So subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/NFL Experts. Follow me at DB Sports Talk. Follow Dave at Dave Cres Sports.
And also a new podcast / blog. I don't know if you remember Brendan Harrington. He's been on a few podcasts. Me and him are now doing a Buffalo Bills blog and a podcast every Wednesday. Louies is going to be on a few as a guest, so check that out. Go to realbillsnow.blogspot.com for everything. So, Louis?
Yeah, also go to your website, davecres.webs.com, and go to my blog, dbsportstalkfantasy.blogspot.com. Thanks, football fans. It's been real.